first things first, I think the FA were right to charge him. I think that, to me, I've heard all the arguments in favour, but he quite clearly meant to stamp on Scott Parker. For me, I've seen the footage before. He's not trying to get his balance. He's executing a motion, a bit like a horse or a donkey kicking out. He uses his foot. He knows where Parker is because he can feel him on his left foot as Parker goes in for the challenge. And with his right foot, he kicks out. For me, he meant to do it. As far as the Lescott thing is concerned, I'm surprised he hasn't been charged. Let's put it that way. I
mean, the video evidence was very clear on the Lescott thing.
Very clear indeed, exactly. And so I can't see why he would have no case to answer. And it'll be very interesting to see, because the FA now a lot faster than years ago, as we both know. It'd be very interesting to see when the FA explain their reasoning for the two decisions, what they say about Lescott.
You're absolutely right. Years ago, you know, the referees used to fax in their reports around about Tuesday or Wednesday of the week. And now, a lot of this is down to Adrian Bevington to speed things up. They have to send them within 24 hours of the game by email so that the FA have got the report and they can see what's going on. Now, let me put this to you. Are you absolutely and utterly convinced that Balotelli had malice in his head when that right foot went into Scott Parker's head?
It's a really good question, and I have to say none of us know what was in Mario Balotelli's head when he did that. So I almost think, although it's a good question, it's one that we can never answer.
So should he have been charged then?
Well, yes, because the action was performed. We're not judging what was going through his head when he performed the action. He could have been thinking about, you know, what he was going to get, you know, after the game or whatever else. You know, what we're looking at is what he has done, and what he has done is that he committed an act of violence on a fellow professional for which, if he'd done it in the street, you know,
well, they always say that you're not likely to go around kicking people in the street
because
you're not playing football in the street.
Well, you say that, Mike, but we see these kinds of random acts.
Let me put this to you. Let me put this to you. I'm a bit of a student of the Agatha Christie books. Okay, doesn't make me a bad person. Sad, I agree, but not a bad person, right? Now, in any crime scene situation, the first thing the police look for is a motive. What was the motive for Balotelli?
Well, why do we need to find a motive?
Well, you've got to find a motive.
Why?
Because the reason that players have a go at each other, you've only got to read Roy Keane's book to find out, take that and,
I
destroy a man's day. You've got to have a motive.
I disagree with that. A lot of the time it's instinctive. A lot of the stuff...
Why
you look at David Beckham
and St
Etienne in 1998.
I'm sorry?
David Beckham, 1998, St Etienne World Cup final. Sorry, World Cup...
qualifier.
Against Diego Simeone. Instinctive.
But I don't think
kind of thing for which you know you will get punished by a referee. But at that point, the red mist comes down and you don't know what you're doing.
That David Beckham flick of a leg, if you don't mind me saying, Darren, was an afterthought while I was lying on the pitch saying, you know, thanks a lot, you know, and flicked his leg out. It wasn't an act of malice.
But how do you know?
All I know.
How do you know?
I spoke to him about it. It was not an act of malice.
But so you know at that point.
At that point, his legs are there, and he flicked the leg out, thinking, you know, well, thanks for nothing, so to speak.
When you spoke to him, that would have been at a point where, way after that had happened.
Oh, years after.
When it had a long time to think and a long time to be considered about his response to your question. At that time, nobody could have known what was going through his mind, just like Balotelli.
Okay, I do not believe Balotelli is a man with malice in his head, okay?
I don't know.
Now, after the game last night, he takes his Maserati car, a white one. I tell you what, there's only one of them in Manchester. He goes down to his favourite restaurant, he parks it. It's next to a pub which is full of Manchester United fans. And then they went down to Sainsbury's. It was Sainsbury's, by the way, folks. Sainsbury's, we give you a plug, you give us one, okay?
Other supermarkets are available, by the way.
Exactly. Bought a load of eggs and came out and splattered his car with eggs, so he took it and put it into a car park.
No justification for that whatsoever.
No, absolutely. What I'm saying is, I do not think the boy's got malice in his I think he's a nice boy. I know he goes around setting off. Hang on. Hear me out, please. Excuse me. Hear me out. I know he goes around setting off fireworks in houses that he doesn't own. He rents them all. Okay? I know that he's irresponsible. I know he's a youth with with little sense of the ration of life because of what he earns. But I mean, he goes around helping kids. You know, kids who are not well in hospitals.
You've just fallen into an almighty trap there.
Oh, Darren says I've fallen into an almighty trap. Darren's trying to make out I'm naive.
I tell you what it is. As far as Balotelli is concerned, his history has nothing to do with it. Whoever had performed that action on the pitch yesterday would have been out of order.